Overwhelmed? That was me with diabetes. Hey, I'm Jabron. Between teaching and coaching, managing diabetes felt like an extra job. With the Freestyle Libre 3 CGM, I get real-time glucose readings and have the insights to make informed decisions. My life feels lighter now. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Big color, bigger savings. Sherwin-Williams Super Sale is here. Get 40% off paints and stains June 5th through the 11th with prices starting at $30.89. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
DJ PK, and we're joined by Ben Anderson, Jazz Insider for KSL Sports and co-host of Jake and Ben. Ben, good morning.
Good morning.
So, Ben, 5 years, $140 million, $28 million per year for Walker Kessler. We were talking earlier this morning about this. Tim McMahon had it. You confirmed that. Those numbers are the real deal. It makes sense to me because I thought when we talked about this earlier, like at $20 million, you're going to get outbid. At $25 million, seems bottom of the market. You're probably going to have to pay him $30, so they settled on $28. I don't have to do it. I can just go in $5 million increments. So $28 makes sense, but it does make sense that somebody out there might try to get him for over $30 million. Would the Jazz match anything up to $35? Where do you think, assuming he gets another offer that's better, how far would they go and match him? What's that number look like?
Yeah, I think that's the big question is, where are the Jazz outside of their comfort range? And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if Walker wants fewer years so he can get his next contract sooner, where he can get ideally another raise and start making money on top of what he's already making. So, is it 35? Is the team going to offer 35? I kind of, for no reason, just how NBA teams operate, kind of keep coming back to, is there a 3-year, $100 million deal out there for him? Where a team says, yeah, we're going to give you more on average per season. It's $5 million more a year. It's a lot. But it's also shorter. So if something does go wrong, they can get out of it quicker. Mm-hmm. I could see that. And I think, I think the Jazz trying to put 5 years on there is a sign that they really believe in Walker and want Walker to know that they believe in him. But also they want to have him locked up for a long time at a relatively low number. 5 years from now, $28 million is not going to look like that much on the NBA landscape.
You kind of have the same thing, at least in theory, with Walker Kessler. He wanted to be extended last summer, and Darren Peterson doesn't want to work out or whatever for the Jazz. Well, my thought is to both of them, tough, suck it up. You'll come here because we have the rights, and if you want to play here, this is the way. If you want to play in the NBA, you got to play here. Plus, when they get out here, and Walker's already been here, obviously, and the games get going and you get with the guys, they'll find out. And this is a great place to be. So I don't really worry about this. What's your response?
Yeah, and, from everything I understand is Walker really likes Utah. Walker wants to be here. He wants to be in Utah. His camp also wants more money. I mean, it's kind of simple.
So do I, Ben.
Yeah, so does everybody, right? I mean, that's not actually that foreign, which in a way I also identify with Walker's camp, and I tweeted this out yesterday. Players get to negotiate maybe 2 good contracts in their life. So I actually don't blame anyone for trying to get as much money as possible, but there are kind of naturally competing issues here. The Jazz are trying to build a basketball team, and Walker's trying to build his individual wealth, and those actually don't jive that well together. And Walker's team actually doesn't have very much leverage, and that's the problem, and that's the hard part. Now, they can go out and get more money somewhere else, maybe, but is another team going to lock up $35 million on the free agent market for 48 hours while the Jazz just sit back and say, we're going to match this, but we're going to wait till the last second, so it actually hurts you to offer him a sheet?
Right.
That can certainly happen. And then as far as the Darren Peterson stuff goes, I mean, I will just tell you everything I've heard. None of it has to do with trying to avoid Utah. He just thinks he's going number 1 overall. There is still some positioning obviously being done there by his camp to try and show Washington that he wants to go number 1 overall, and he's fully invested in that. But if the Jazz draft him, I have not heard anything that makes anyone think that he wouldn't be happy being here. I know the report out of Dallas was he was trying to avoid the Jazz. He didn't work out for Memphis either. And the Jazz have been at his, meetings. The Jazz met with him at the Combine. The communication is ongoing. So I think people took that story and thought that meant he was trying to avoid the Jazz, and I really don't think that's the story at all.
And then if Kessler wants more money, just do another credit union ad. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, he'll keep making more money. He's fine. He's got options. He's marketable.
With Peterson and the whole Washington that's the only workout deal, I'm trying to figure if Washington has shown their cards and he knows, or at least heavily suspects that he's number one, or if this is a power move by the Peterson camp. Hey, we're going to be number one. You should pick us. We're only going to talk to you because obviously you're going to come to your senses and figure out I'm the number one pick. Which one of those two things is it, or is there a third scenario out there?
The people I've talked to really seem to think he's going to be the number one pick.
Yeah.
And look, if you want to look at the actions, like that would kind of match with A.J. DeBonsa also coming and working out with the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
If A.J. wasn't actually fully sure that he was going to be number one and Darren was, those actions certainly speak for themselves. Now, I know the betting odds don't say that, and I know kind of the consensus mock drafts don't say that Darren Peterson's going to be number one, but everything I've heard from well before the Jazz won their lottery to where we are today, I heard this as recently as, Monday. I heard this Monday that, the world has just been way too confident that AJ is going to be the number one overall pick. I don't actually think that's how NBA front offices have operated, despite the fact that that's kind of what the groupthink has been amongst people who do mock drafts and kind of cover the draft from a media perspective. So I do think that, as far as my intel goes, that's the most solid I've heard of who actually could be the number one overall pick. But again, that could easily be Darren Peterson's camp positioning and trying to say, hey, we're not going to come to Utah for sure because we think we're going to be the number one pick, when really they know they're not going to fall past 2 or 3 at the absolute latest. So what do they have to lose? I mean, it's not going to hurt them by not working out with the Jazz. If the Jazz want them, the Jazz will draft them. And this is the very last piece in a 4 or a 5-year puzzle where they've been watching these guys since they were teenagers. They know everything about them. If they don't come in for a workout, it's pretty small potatoes.
Locke had been down on DeBonsa for a good while, his lack of three-point shooting. Now he put out a little video on his Locked On Spiel. Seems to change that. Tune has been altered a little bit, being a 20-point-a-game guy, willing passer, blah, blah, blah. I've seen him up close. We've all seen him on television. I got to cover several of their games. I like the guy, and I get that he's not the best three-point shooter. We understand that. What level of confidence do you have if the Jazz pick him, which seems like that's what's going to happen, that, to me anyway, that he will be not just good, but in time a star?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a star. I have very little doubt about that, three-point shot or not. But even then, if you want to go back and, look at his whole season, certainly it's fair to look at a whole season. An NBA season or a college season is 35 games. We're talking about an NBA player having a slow start if they're shooting 33%. That's, October 28th or whenever the season starts to December 15th. Nobody chalks up somebody's entire career based on those numbers. And if you want to go in, look at one of AJ's interviews. I think it was with Scotty Barnes Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And he said, look, I realized I could score 30 a game if I wanted to. And I think if you look at the point where he's kind of talking about in his season where he could have averaged 30 or more, what does he put up, 43 on Utah or whatever it is? Look at his numbers from that game to the rest of the regular season. It's like a 16 or 17 game sample. I think it's more than half the year. Look at his three-point shooting. It's like 36%. It even got better within the season, and then it fell off of the tournament a little bit, and they didn't play many games, but you're talking about 4 games over that stretch. So he has shown an ability to, A, not just score at an extremely high level, because I think he was up near 30 points a game during that stretch, but he was up over 36% from 3. My fear on guys in college about not being able to shoot the 3, you look at their box scores, and if they have 2 attempts a game, 0 attempts a game. AJ's at 6, 7 attempts a game pretty regularly. He has games where he's made 5 in a game. I just kind of think that's something that's somebody who has confidence in their three-point shot. And generally, I believe those guys are going to get better. So even if it doesn't come along, I still think he's a star. If it does, you are talking about the best player from this draft.
Thumbtack presents Uncertainty Strikes. I was surrounded. The aisle and the options were closing in. There were paint rollers, satin and matte finish, angle brushes, and natural bristles. There were too many choices. What if I never got my living room painted? What if I couldn't figure out what type of paint to use? What if I just used Thumbtack? I can hire a top-rated pro that knows everything about interior paint. easily compare prices, and read reviews. Thumbtack knows homes. Download the app today.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Ben Anderson join us here. You will hear him today at 2 o'clock. He and Jake will be on the air here, talking a lot of hoops with the draft bearing down on us. You go back and redraft drafts, and the top 4 are never the right 4. There's always somebody who was picked 8th or 18th or 28th who should have been in there, and some of the top 4 who shouldn't have been drafted at all or should have gone in the top 20. So this 4, there's a real consensus of the 4. Who do you think when we're 5-10 years out, we're going to go back and scratch our head and think, why in the world was that guy in the top 4? That shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the obvious answer would be Caleb Wilson, just because he is the rawest of the group. And you know what, DJ? I really wonder if we're getting better at drafting. Clearly you go back and there's still, when you take 4 guys versus the field, which is the next, 56 guys, obviously one of the 56 is going to jump up. But, I don't know, if we're 3 or 4 years from now, we look back and look at this past top 5 with Cooper Flagg and Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe and Con Knipple and Ace Bailey and say, no, it looks like the good top 5. There's a possibility that's absolutely the case. Maybe we are getting a little bit better at this, or maybe we're not, and that was just a fluke season. So I would probably say Caleb Wilson, just because the skill set is yet to develop fully. And even then, he put up almost 20 and 10 at North Carolina, and they were really good when he was on the floor and not very good when he was not. So I think he's going to be a good player as well. The difference is going to be, who of the guys behind them jumps up? Is it Darius Acuff? Is it Keaton Wagler? Is it somebody 10, 11, 12, 13? I like Zass or Johnson kid from Michigan quite a bit. I think he's a really good player. Someone's going to jump up inevitably, but I understand why these 4 are the best players.
It's an interesting time for the Jazz with this pick that is so fundamental to their success and crucial. But yet at the same time, they just can't be focused on the draft, because then they got to turn around and a week later really starts going with the free agency. Depending, I guess, to what they do with Kessler, what do you see their level of activity being in that particular way to build your team?
Yeah, what I've heard is, if Darren Peterson's the guy at 2, the Jazz probably still need another ball handler in the backcourt to come in and help, and that's not to replace Keontae. That's just to come in and help, off the bench or help with Isaiah Collier. And if it's, A.J. DeBonsa or Cam Boozer, they might feel like they need 2 guys. They might go out and try and get 2 guards who are, ball handlers who can come in and support and help, because they do need that. They do need more ball handling. Now, A.J. is a really good ball handler. I actually wonder if there's more playmaking to his game than he was even able to show at BYU, when he averaged way more assists per game than Darren Peterson did. But if Darren Peterson comes in, is his playmaking actually a lot better than people thought? Keontae George came in and was a much better passer from day one. Ace Bailey came in and was a much better passer from day one. I wonder if that's a stat that kind of gets lost or gets blurred in college. It gets much better kind of naturally once you get to the NBA. But, yeah, the Jazz need another ball handler or 2, and they certainly need a lot more defense on the perimeter. So I think you look down some of the names, the Marcus Smarts, the Anthony Meltons that have been out there. I think those make some sense. Gary Payton II. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Jazz, flirt with somebody like that.
How much money do you think they're going to have to go get those guys? Because the teams that have gone and taken a young team and jumped up to the championship level, and you go back 10 or 20 years, the Warriors won 4 titles. They did it. The Lakers, who won the three-peat, they brought in a couple of veterans, and usually they bring in one person who's really good and somebody else who's solid, who's really solid. But can the Jazz afford to do 2, or you think they're only adding 1?
They've got the mid-level exception, which is, I think it's like $20 million this year. It's like $19 million. It's pretty hefty. So you could go out and maybe sign a guy for 2 years and 20, 2 years 25, and then get another guy on a vet minimum contract essentially, and see if that's enough for you. So I could see them going out and trying to get 2 players, or do you give one guy $20 million for 1 year, or 2 years, $40 million, and really try and make a splash. That seems a little rich for me for a gamble on a team that I'm not, I know the Jazz think they're going to be good next year. I don't know if they know how good they're going to be. So I wonder if they would invest that much or sacrifice that much flexibility for a season or two. But maybe you do 1 year. Maybe you just say, hey, we're going to give you a lot for 1 year. We think we can make a real push, and then we'll reexamine where we are a year from now. I could see that as well, but I definitely think they will be aggressive. I think they will try and fill out this roster more completely for sure.
They've invested a lot of time in these young guys the last couple of years as they've been losing. And right now it seems that we're overlooking a lot of them, or if not all of them. Your guess, your projection in terms of who would be a rotational guy out of these young dudes the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. And unfortunately for them, like if nobody makes the Keontae George jump, and I'm not saying Keontae George, who suddenly became, a 9-figure player in the NBA, I don't think anyone's expecting that from Bryce Sensabaugh or Cody Williams or Kyle Filipowski even. But if one of them can jump up, that would be a huge positive for the Jazz. Now, I don't know how you pay that person next year, but if one of those guys was to jump up, that could become very beneficial for the Jazz and could actually solve a lot of their issues. As nice as Darren Peterson is and the skill set he brings, and he's a better player than Bryce Sensabaugh. But if Bryce becomes a knockdown three-point shooter and consistent and can give you a little bit in the area of team defense being in the right spot, he can be really helpful. If I had to bet on who it's going to be, I do think Kyle Filipowski just makes a lot of sense. He's further along than those guys since the day he came into the NBA. He's going to his third year. I bet physically he's kind of really starting to catch up finally. I think he understands exactly what his role is going to be. 15 to 20 minutes off the bench is going to be beneficial. Conceivably, assuming Walker Kessler comes back, he can always be on the floor with either Walker or Jaren Jackson Jr., which covers up some of his defensive issues, and then he can be really a kind of a playmaker out of the post with them, and I think that becomes extremely valuable. So I would bet on Flip making a jump. Cody Williams I might be the most skeptical on just because I'm not sure what his actual skill is. But that doesn't mean I'm not a Cody Williams believer. And the truth is, like, if his defense comes along, he might be the most valuable of those three. We just have maybe seen the least from him so far.
I'm curious about the mental makeup of all these young guys because we can say they're going to play 15 minutes a night, but that's not accurate. You got to dig deeper. There are going to be nights where everybody's available where they're going to get DNP CDs. There are going to be nights where they're in the rotation getting the 15 minutes, and there are going to be nights where multiple guys are out and they're going to have to play 25, and it can be hard to go out there and play 25 minutes because you don't have the conditioning, because you did just take a DNP, and because mentally you're getting a little beat up because your role changes so much. Who can handle that? Because in an era when guys play 65 games and consider it a full season, that just seems inevitable. If you're guy 10, 11, 12 on the roster, that's going to be your life.
Well, yeah, we're talking about the young guys right now, and we're kind of ignoring John Conchar. We're ignoring Svi Mikhailiuk, who are NBA veterans. I mean, I think Svi has a title. John Conchar is the type of player who, if you were to pluck somebody off the Jazz's bench that you said could have played in these finals, it's probably Conchar. He's running all over the floor, and I know he didn't shoot the ball particularly well with the Jazz, but he has historically. If he makes shots and is running all over the floor, I mean, he's the Jazz's best version of Josh Hart, who was so critical for the Knicks. So, if those guys are in the rotation, you're talking about, Bryce and Cody Williams being maybe guide 10 and 11 on this roster, and 10 and 11 might play 10 minutes a game if they play at all. Now, NBA rotations sometimes are 10. That's generally what Will Hardy has done. So maybe one of those guys gets a spot if you're assuming that whoever the Jazz draft at number 2 plays and that Walker Kessler comes back. I do think Kyle Filipowski is going to be in the rotation because they need him, but if Nurk is back, and I think the Jazz would probably enjoy Nurk if he could come back, it's a lot of bodies competing for very few minutes. And I don't honestly envy Will Hardy. I mean, Will Hardy's going to have to tell either the number 2 overall pick or Ace Bailey, most likely, that you're coming off the bench. That's probably not an easy conversation for 2 guys who are top 5 selections.
DJ, start spreading the news. I don't think Ben's leaving today, but when are you leaving, Ben?
I am leaving Saturday morning, and I'll be in New York, obviously, for the draft. So Monday they're doing all the player interviews. So I will be downtown, and I'll get all those and send them back. We'll have them posted at KSLSports.com, on our Instagram page, social media, YouTube, etc. And then Tuesday I'll be at the draft as well.
Do you have Ben's final mock draft 0.0? I don't know how many mocks you'd be into it. You ready to call the top 2 picks?
Well, I'll say the top 2 picks I think will be AJ and Darren. I don't know what order.
Okay.
That's bold, Ben. That's bold right there.
I know. Really gutsy. But you know what? I will tell you, I bet you that's how the Jazz feel as well.
Are you going first class? Because you're a first class guy.
I think I'm flying standby. I don't know how I'm getting there.
Standby.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Open air?
Yeah, whatever.
Catch the train to Denver and try to pick up a flight from there.
No.
Yeah.
Avoid Denver at all costs.
Ben, we appreciate a few minutes. We will hear you today at 2 o'clock. You and Jake will take over and take everybody home.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Ben. Ben Anderson, Jazz Insider for KSL Sports, and host of Jake and Ben. DJ and PK, we'll take a break, come back, catch you up to date on everything you missed in this show. A lot of football, a lot of hoops, and a lot of golf. Stay with us.